Hey, is this thing live? Hey, what's up? I usually don't go live anymore. I don't do this very much, so it's definitely something to, I guess, I don't want to really consider it a treat as I'm just like a a nobody really, but I'm live and I wanted to do some reactions again. I kind of wanted to do the reactions for the simple fact that it's just been a crazy sort of time with this Inside Xbox. And believe me, I've got a ton to say about what we've seen or what we failed to see actually, and my kind of thoughts on that. So hopefully you guys are with me for the long haul for that. Like I said, I don't do a bunch of live stuff anymore, but here I am live. So if you are joining me right now, please hit the like button, share out the video. Let me know that you like the live stuff, that you like this kind of stuff, because again, I don't do it a ton. And and I kind of want to maybe get back into it or do a podcast again or something like that. So again, yeah, you know what? 5-star shoddy. They deleted dislikes. I don't see how they did that. So again, I'm gonna go into what they talked about. Feel free to like and share it out and all that kind of stuff. Again, so I wasn't going into this show with anything expectation-wise, right? Because as Xbox people, you have to what? Quote unquote, temper your expectations. That should be the official merch shirt for Xbox. Temper your expectations with Xbox today. So anyway, I watched this thing. I'm going to get into what they showed and all this kind of stuff. But I watched this stuff, okay? I watched on YouTube, okay? I got up after that and then because I wrote down all the stuff that they showed off. And then I got up and I did some stuff and I had to, take care of the kids or whatever for a little bit. And I come back and the YouTube stream had ended. It had been ended for a little bit. And then I looked at the stream and it said 33,000 dislikes. But it said that the stream had ended. So what I did was I refreshed it. And, when I refreshed it, it said that the video went private. And that 24 minutes previously, they had uploaded the thing again. And everything has kind of started over from, and then there was 14,000 dislikes, and now it's down to 9. So there is something funky about what's going on there, right? Something funky, but it is sort of weird to me. True Witty says his crappy money's coming back. I don't know. I have to get some kind of support for that. You know what I mean? I understand a lot of people are ticked off because I come out here and I speak the truth, and what's funny is I wasn't expecting much. Okay. I wasn't expecting much, and when Microsoft says, and look, this is no lie, Microsoft says first Xbox Series X gameplay, and they showed nothing at all running on the Xbox Series X. All we saw was representative of expected gameplay, and there was no real gameplay to be seen either. It was just kind of ridiculous that we didn't see anything. I'm like watching it, waiting for the gameplay. Initially, after it's all said and done, the way my mind works is I go back and I think of Jurassic Park, where Jeff Goldblum's like, we are going to see dinosaurs on this dinosaur tour, right? Hello? Right? We are going to see gameplay footage from the Series X on this Series X gameplay reveal. Hello? Right? Like, we didn't see anything from the Xbox Series X itself, despite the promise of that by Microsoft themselves. I understand, right? I do not know who's damage controlling it. Maybe the typical podcast people are trying to damage control. Well, I didn't go into it expecting much anyway, so who cares, right? Well, who should care is you, because let's be real. Phil Spencer keeps saying he hears us, he hears us, he hears us, right? He's listening, he's hearing us. If he had been hearing us and listening, why wouldn't you at least throw a teaser for something, a fable, welcome to Albion, a voiceover at the end, right, to get people hyped? What we saw was a bunch of AA games and indie games and no real gameplay footage, and this stuff did not look any better than what we have now. And in some cases, the games looked pretty much like what Xbox One games looked like at the launch of this generation. So there weren't anything like super fantastic, like, oh my gosh, we got this, it looks amazing or anything like that. It just did not look very impressive, and it's a real kind of shame because I think that Microsoft could do better. I feel like they had a lot, and look, I'm just being honest here. Microsoft had a lot of momentum. Don't let it kid you. They had a ton of momentum. They were showing stuff. They're talking about stuff. Everybody's hype. Even me, I'm like, maybe this is Xbox is different. They got the train rolling, they got the ball rolling. They, get off the tracks because Microsoft is coming down, and so this is the way that I originally thought that Microsoft was kind of going about things, right? Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, Microsoft has a lot going great. Sony's kind of being quiet. Maybe they're a little bit worried about Microsoft. Maybe, Microsoft surprised them with this or that. And then Microsoft pulls the most Microsoft move I've ever seen. And, basically just kind of do what they always do. And that's kind of drop the ball. And that's super unfortunate. And I really do hope that, in the future, whatever, that they continue to go back to what they were doing right before this show, right? Like, I know that this was the quote-unquote third-party event or whatever, but at the same time, how do you not show anything graphically impressive on your console that eats consoles or whatever their tagline is, right? The beast or whatever, like, I don't understand how they do that. How do you actually go about that? And, this thing is supposed to be the thing that eats beasts or whatever. And the games that we saw just were not impressive enough to actually do that. And again, it's just a little bit unfortunate that happened. And if you had your expectations up, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. True Witty says Microsoft dropped the ball when they needed it most. I agree 100%. It's really sad that we can't expect better. It's really unfortunate. I really, in particular, was expecting a little something because, look, there had been like these supposed leaks the day before of some of the stuff we were going to get. We were going to get Cyberpunk footage and this footage and that footage, and it was going to be fantastic. And then what we actually got was pretty much next to nothing. And, okay, so Reckham says, bro, they showing exclusives in July. Reckhams, let me ask you something. What's the most important thing? If you're going up to a girl, right? Are you gonna look all like a slob with your pants hanging down and a shirt that's ripped up and your hair not combed, right? Because first impressions are everything, okay? And this is a perfect moochism, actually. Are you gonna do that as your first impression, or are you going to dress nice, have your hair cut, make sure your car is cleaned out? We got this from Microsoft, right? This was everybody's first impression of the Xbox Series X. It was going to blow us away, right? It was going to be amazing. We were going to see 12 T-flops of power with ray tracing, this, that, and everything, right? And what did we get? A bunch of AA Game Pass filler games, right? I mean, Assassin's Creed looks like Assassin's Creed, cool. But honestly, what out of all this is making anybody want to pick up an Xbox Series X? I'm kind of curious. I understand, like, how can anybody damage control this? And how can you guys, if you're supporting people that that kind of cover for this, how can anybody really take that seriously at this particular point? Like, I just feel like people are realistically, sort of covering for Microsoft. Oh, well, blame the third parties. Like, when are people going to sort of kind of admit that that Microsoft dropped the ball here? They're the ones that are completely in charge of what's shown. And the fact that they promise Xbox Series X gameplay, and then every single thing was quote-unquote representative of expected gameplay and not actually shown in an Xbox Series X, that's really disappointing. And I'm sorry if you disagree with me or think that I'm just trying to hating or whatever. I'm really not. I'm honestly disappointed. I'm sure I'm a lot of you are probably disappointed as well. And this has nothing to do with Sony. Absolutely nothing to do with Sony. Sony hasn't showed anything. But I will tell you this. If Sony was like, we're going to show our first ever PlayStation 5 footage, and they didn't show any PlayStation 5 footage and they showed a bunch of crappy games, I would be on them just as much, because this is absolutely ridiculous. And kind of to go over what we were showed, I will show you guys. I will talk to you guys about what they showed. Okay, so they first showed off Bright Memory, which that game looked okay. Okay, I'm like, hey, that's cool. Look, maybe this is going to be a decent show, because the show, it looked decent. Then I find out that this game is made by one person, and it's been on Steam for like a year. So again, this is just another indie AA game that Microsoft is getting. Then they showed off Dirt 5, which they didn't even really show off anything with Dirt 5. It was weird because they just showed like the replay footage, and that's what they do with racing games. Have you ever noticed they always show like the replay footage and never the actual in-game footage? So yeah, and it doesn't look any better than anything we have currently. What's What says Hellblade is the best looking next gen game we've seen so far. We haven't seen anything from Hellblade, my friend. We haven't seen anything from Hellblade. We saw a CGI trailer. We saw a CGI trailer, my friend. That is not real footage. That was confirmed to be not footage. You know, this is like in-engine or whatever. That's fake. That's all CGI nonsense. It's not real. It's fake. They use that. Sony does that too. Hey, everybody that's joining me, please hit the like button and share out the video. I would appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed or consider becoming a member, or hit the bell, all that kind of good stuff, so you know, when I go live and stuff like that, I would definitely appreciate it. People like me who try to keep it real with what's being said and what's being done are always going to struggle more than those that just pander and stuff like that. I could have continued going the way I was going with my channel. I felt like for me doing what's right is something that I had to be honest. I couldn't sit there and keep hyping Xbox when I started not to have as much fun myself personally. At first, man, I was all in on Xbox. No lie there. And then slowly, as the years came along, their games got worse and worse, and I'm starting to enjoy PlayStation 4 more and more, and yet I'm trying to do videos to get people to hype Xbox, and then at one point I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't lie to people. I'm not going to sit there and hype up something that I don't feel like they're doing a good job. So, with that being said, yeah, that's what I'm kind of talking about. Then they showed this game called Scorn. To be honest with you, nothing there pops out. I wrote these down, so I can't even really remember what that was about. Then they showed off something called Chorves. Again, nothing that, nobody's going to go get an Xbox Series X for Chorves. And I know that these games are on PlayStation 5 as well, but I wouldn't get these games if they were on PlayStation 6. To be honest with you, they look terrible, except for Madden 21 again. We didn't even see anything from that. They're just like, one thing we did learn is this smart delivery system. It's not exactly free with EA games, apparently. So the little fine print with that is, hey, if you buy Madden December and get an Xbox Series X by March, then you'll get the free upgrade version. Otherwise, you don't. You have to buy a second version. So not everybody's going to support this. Maybe they might go back on it because I can see Madden 21 is trending or whatever. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that's very interesting and what we're going to be seeing coming out for the future or whatever. So I hope that we get better down the line. I honestly do. I honestly do hope that we get better along the lines, because so far what we've seen as our first impression has been a bit of a letdown, for me personally. But again, it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to kind of flow with the punches or whatever. But I actually think that it's weird because Sony's not going to have to be able to, Sony's going to have to be able to do better than this as well. So hopefully they can do that as well and things like that. Flaffy says Premiere exclusive only on Xbox. Low expectations. Lowered expectation. Yeah, dude, I don't get it either, man. And listen, I'm sure that, yeah, exactly, Marty. Microsoft deleted the video that had 33,000 dislikes. Again, and they somehow got rid of the dislikes, a bunch of them, on the current one. I don't understand how. Hey, can somebody share with me how to get rid of dislikes? I would love to do that, man. I'm like one of the most disliked people ever. I basically had to start my channel over because I started telling the truth about Xbox, and people didn't like hearing how it didn't have games and the exclusives, and I point out the truth, and people don't like it. They would rather go somebody else with a southern accent or something. Brian Mason says Microsoft just reset likes again. Only 209 dislikes. Holy cow. How do you do that? Somebody clue me in on how you reset dislikes, because I will have an amazing channel if I can reset dislikes and have likes and dislikes and just keep resetting it. Like, somebody share that out. That's just, oh my gosh, holy cow. There's something fishy there. I'm thinking that Microsoft is Microsoft is like that, and I'm not going to get into politics, but yeah, they're the Bernie Sanders of gaming. But anyway, so then they showed a little bit of that Madden 21 stuff. Again, It looks like Madden. Vampire Bloodlines 2 looks like it could be a cool game, but it looks like that vampire game that we got, like that AA vampire game. So again, it doesn't look like a AAA title. It didn't look like it was really taking much graphical capabilities or anything like that. So it was a bit of a letdown, personally. Call of the Sea, that was like a cartoony type Xbox game or whatever. Again, these are stuff that, we're seeing, and they don't look any better than what we have already, Cross Zaber says, Anakin, is it possible to acquire this power? Exactly. Is it possible to acquire this power to delete the dislikes on your videos? Holy cow. Like, I don't understand it. But it is funny to me anyway. Hold on. Then they showed the Ascent. I can't really remember that. The Medium. These are just like AA. Scarlet Nexus. Second Extinction. Yakuza like Dragon. And then the Assassin's Creed Valhalla thing. So, again, most of these games people never heard of. Brian Mason says they deleted the comments too. That is so strange. Like, I do not understand how they did that. And that is just weird to me, how they were able to sort of like, anybody that was... that's very fishy anyway. So anyway, I think it's cool that they got the Yakuza stuff day and date now, because that's a decent series, and I think that deserves a little more love. So hopefully that'll expand on that. So that is cool to see them get that. But Yakuza's not a AAA game. They crank those games out every 2 years. Those are like those AA games. They're still fun and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's just one of those things where most of these games, you just go, what's that? These aren't... What Xbox needs is those huge new games that people are like, wow, I got to get me an Xbox for that. And so far, we fail to see that time and time again. And I really do think that Microsoft needs to kind of work on that. As we get around 300 people, please hit the like button and share it out as well. WR Cup says the show was like your Ravens team today. Hey, no, bro, you can't even go there, man. You're a Browns fan. You're a Browns fan. Not only that, but you lost a bet to me, and I'm still waiting to see you in Ravens gear. Mega Cloud, what's up? What's up, everybody? I'm going to be answering questions in a little bit as well. But, it is very interesting to sort of see that Microsoft... And again, I think Microsoft deserves all the criticism to what they're getting, all the criticism that they get, all the criticism that, all the criticism that they've been getting. I just feel like that's one of the things that they've kind of failed at. They continually like fail at this kind of stuff, and I do hope that they get it together, because what we need and what we want as Xbox fans is is better games, and we need them to actually pay attention and listen to what we're doing and listen to what we're saying. That's exactly what Xbox fans kind of are looking forward to, and I do hope that they continue to do this. Okay, so now they have this one back, the original one, but it's 26,000 dislikes now and 36,000 likes. So this is weird, and this one is just now public. So they took down the other one, and now they put this one back up. That is so strange. I do not understand what the deal is with that, but it is very interesting to see them go along with that, and to see the kind of... what they're kind of going along with that. So yeah, again, it's very, very interesting. Hold on, I'm seeing people. Yeah, it's like, it is weird. I don't get that at all, but I do like, I like I said, I was enjoying what they were showing. I was very much enjoying like a lot of what they were doing, in terms of, hey, they're announcing stuff. They're being quote unquote. So anyway, you guys know what the new Phil Spencer buzzword is, right? The Phil Spencer buzzword is, what is it? It's transparency, right? We want to be transparent with you guys, right? We're listening. We're transparent. But they haven't been transparent about this so-called Lockhart. In fact, Phil Spencer has said the exact opposite and said it doesn't exist. So when they announce it, which one is it? I mean, that's not transparency to me. When you showcase something, and again, this isn't just for Microsoft, this is for anybody. If you're going to go out there and you're going to go, oh, hey, we're going to showcase our first footage from our new console, and then you don't show any of that footage, that's a big problem. I don't really see how anybody can sort of say, hey, that's not a problem, or that's something that yeah, that's not a problem, or that's something that Microsoft should be able to to get away with, in my opinion. If you're going to say, hey, we're going to show the first footage of this game or the first footage of the Series X, then you need to show actual gameplay footage from it, not like, oh, this is supposed footage of this or supposed footage of that. I think that's not the way to go about it, especially when you say, hey, you've changed, you're doing things differently, you really care about the fans and you're listening to the fans. That, to me, is the bigger problem, and I feel like that's just something that Microsoft is going to have to sort of, Microsoft is sort of going to have to get over with at some point. I really, really do feel like that's something that they should and definitely, get the hold of. Just for me, it's just in bad taste or whatever. Now, listen, I'm still very much excited about next generation. I'm still excited to see what happens. I still want to see what Microsoft can do. It was kind of funny. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when they did the Matt Booty stuff, my buddy Predator was actually pointing out that Matt Booty in his office, he actually has PlayStation 4 boxes in his corner there. And so my thought was he's probably playing he's probably playing some of those great games that they have or whatever. But again, anybody that's just going to go, oh, well, it's just third-party stuff. It's like, why is Xbox fans, and let me rant for a second, why is Xbox fans, do we have to continually, quote-unquote, temper our expectations because we know it's going to be bad? Why can't we ever just be excited for something, right? Why do we never get to be excited, or why is it that before stuff even happens, we as fans have to go, let's not get too excited here because of this or because of that? I feel like that's totally the wrong mindset that we should have as fans, and it's really a bummer that that's the way that we have to be as fans. Why do we have to go, hey, temper those expectations now? It's Xbox. Like if Sony has an event, our expectations are high. We're like, this is going to be good. And then there's a possibility that it might be bad, but it might be a lower possibility, right? And now we have this situation where literally any event that Microsoft has, we're already setting ourselves up for a bad time. And then we damage control it. Like, that's what I don't understand. Why are so many people quick to sort of damage control what Sony's doing or what Microsoft's doing by going, hey, keep your expectations low? I don't understand it. I do not understand it. What's what? Listen, Majestic Bowser, I appreciate it, buddy. Listen to what I'm saying. What's what? I was no fan of Microsoft's 2017 E3, but when you're showing off the Xbox One X, the monster console or whatever, they at least showed off graphically impressive third-party games, right? Metro, that new Assassin's Creed, right? They showed off gameplay footage of these games. Great-looking games that looked much better on the Xbox One X. What we saw today was none of that, right? We didn't see any of that. We saw AA titles, no actual footage of the Xbox Series X. That's the image that's in my mind for what? Another 2 months. Also, why is it that for years we're all saying wait till E3, wait till XO, wait till Gamescom, wait till this, wait till that? Now it's wait till June, wait till July, wait till August, and then if they don't show what people want or they drop the ball, it'll be wait till next E3, right? Like, come on, man. How long are you guys going to sit there and defend this stuff, right? How about you call them out and you go, hey, let's just be real and say that was a very bad showing. And that was a very bad way to showcase your new, quote-unquote, next-gen hardware. I do not understand what they were thinking with that. Biggie2316 says, the problem with your argument is you're using logic. Exactly, right? Like, when you're using logic, it's kind of hard to beat the logic, And I really just hope that they actually come out and do something that blows us all. Listen, you guys might have noticed, I've been doing a little bit more positive Xbox stuff, talking a little bit more positive about Xbox. And it's not because I think I'm not going to go all and hate on PlayStation again. You guys don't got to worry about that. I just want to be happy about both. I wanted Microsoft to go out there and prove that they were listening and prove that they actually know what they're doing and paying attention to what fans want, because if they listen like they say they're listening, then they would be delivering something. They would be delivering something. And the fact that I've got to sit there and be depressed before I even go in, yeah, games, feel free to donate, man. You can do the super chat or whatever. That'd be great. I appreciate that. As you guys know, this channel is kind of starting. I do got some ideas for the future, so we'll see how it is. What's What says, I think it is bad, but what's not the point? It's Inside Xbox that they said would be third-party only, y'all being delusional. Listen, What's What? Why should we be having to make those excuses, though? Microsoft approves what was shown. They approve what was shown, 100%. There is a button down there at the bottom that says it's a little $sign, and you can do that, or you can become a member of the channel as well. But again, why as Xbox fans should we have to be okay, or when is it written that we've got to be okay with lackluster? And if they have all these things and they're like, and it sounds great, right? When you hear it, we got so much stuff that we're going to show you stuff every single month. Every month we're going to show you stuff. Every month. But if every month is just going to be more of what we saw today, stuff like that, save it, my friends, because I don't want to see it. I want to see the big blowout stuff that you guys have been promising. What's all this first-party stuff that you guys have been talking about? Where is it at? That's the stuff that I want to see. Hold on. Chris says you should bash the devs. They had a chance to show and they didn't. Well, listen, if those are the third-party devs that Microsoft has on board, then they got nothing on board. Those aren't, I didn't see, I want to see Call of Duty running on next gen. I want to see, I want to see these games actually running on the next gen stuff. I don't want to see garbage, you know what I mean? What's What says the last day to play for PS4 was garbage, and I said it was garbage. If you're just going to show that kind of stuff, it's better that you don't show anything, and so far we haven't seen anything from Sony, and honestly, this has nothing to do with Sony, but if they come out and they go, hey, here's the PlayStation 5, we're going to show, what would you guys say, the Xbox fans that are watching, what would you guys say if Sony was like, here's the first PS5 footage of a game running on PS5, and they proceeded not to show any footage running on a PS5. Wouldn't you guys hate that? Wouldn't you guys be on Sony for that? Listen, they would 100% be like that. JD Gamer says, you may not have liked the whole show, and that's okay, but anyone not paying attention to the fact that Microsoft got a Yakuza game day and date is doomed because they won't remember that happened in 360 years, X forever. Listen, I already gave them props for getting Yakuza day and date. I said that's cool because it can get that game more love. That's great. But that's like a AA game. It doesn't look any better, right? And if you look at it, it looks like Bot's been saying wait for E3 for 5 years. No shame. Listen, I was part of that problem, my friends, right? And now people with southern accents are part of that problem, and it ain't my problem anymore, okay? Wait till E3 is not my mantra. I was trying to be as nice as I could and wait to see what they had to show. I went into today with no expectations and was still let down by what they were doing. But yes, JD Gamer, I do think that it's cool that they get something like Yakuza day and date. More games is obviously better. I think that that's something that, that can never be discounted, is the fact that they are going to get more games and things like that. And I hope that it does well. And I hope that they continue to do well and to sort of impress what everybody thinks about them and things like that. But you got to be able to showcase, like the great stuff as well. Just anybody that can't see that the frustration and what I'm going through as a fan, and don't get it twisted. I am a fan. I still play Xbox. I play PlayStation 4. I play Switch. Right? I'm still a fan. I still have that little thread that Microsoft can redeem themselves, right? Let's be real. They packed it in years ago and gave up this generation in, I guess, anticipation of next generation. Well, you better be ready to bring it next generation. And they claim that they're bringing it, and they claim this, and they claim that. They need to actually go ahead and deliver that then. And as you guys join, please like the video, share it out. I definitely appreciate it. I really appreciate the support and things like that. Hold on. Lisa G says, have you noticed that Gears 5 on base Xbox One looks better than the Xbox Series X they premiered? Yeah, I saw that GIF. Apparently, it's just I'm sure that the Gears 5 will look better at the end of the day on the Series X. It has to. But yeah, it was a little bit odd, the GIF that I saw when you go between the two, just in my opinion. Y9 Power says, at least you know what a good game is according to other YouTubers that say 30 frames per second and automatically call it a bad game. Well, listen. I have to be honest with you guys, okay? When I got the Xbox One X, I was all ready for the 4K gaming, man. Games to look great. I'm I like great graphics, and not necessarily resolution to me, but great graphics make all the difference, and I love great graphics. And so I had a 4K TV, you know, and I bought my first 4K TV and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't really care much about the frame rate. Okay, now stuff like Call of Duty, Halo, Gears, like those games have to be 60 frames for me. But I don't really, you know, I've tried like the 120 frames before on my brother's rig, and you know, it's odd. It's a little bit weird to me, like maybe a little bit too fast. I guess you get used to it, but 60 seems like a really good sweet spot for me on like shooters and stuff like that. But even when I played Forza Horizon 4 and I had the option to do 60, I preferred to do 4K 30 just because the game looks so much better. When they updated Gears of War 4 and the campaign, you could have done 1080p 60 on the campaign or 4K 30. I still went back and did 4K 30 because it looked so much better. The 1080p 60 looked like a 360 game or something. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with that. And hold on, what says he's not saying that the event wasn't bad, but still not the event you should be reacting. Well, listen, I'll react to the other ones that they do as well. You know, I hope that they can do better. Like, to me, like I said, I wasn't expecting much, and I was still kind of let down. I just think that, you know, a lot of people expected Microsoft or Sony to actually showcase something of their own today to take some of the eyes off of what Microsoft was doing. My point was, they didn't even need to do that because, to be 100% honest with you, you know, Microsoft kind of shot themselves in the foot with what they were doing to begin with. You know, they actually really kind of dropped the ball on themselves. And, you know, I got to say that it's very Microsoft of them, right? Like, I've been saying and kind of joking, like Microsoft will eventually pull a Microsoft and they'll drop the ball. JD says, look, it's not just about getting Yakuza. In X360 years, they stepped up and killed it by getting GTA, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, all while getting exclusive content in games, and that's what's happening again. Listen, I hope you're right, JD, and if they deliver, believe me, hopefully you come back when they actually do like the first party reveals and stuff. I think it's a silly way that they're doing it. Why not just do a 2-hour show and show everything? You know what I mean? Because this little bit that we got is like the midsection of what an E3 would be, where everybody would go get their snacks and their drink, right? You're like, oh man, this is time to go get the snacks and the drinks, you know, because it just did not look good. You know, honestly, and they'll listen. Xbox will be fine. People will get over this terrible reveal for the most part. For me personally, it's just like, oh my gosh, how could they let? Like, if I'm the head of Xbox and I'm saying, we heard you, we're listening, we heard you, and I see what we're going to show, because obviously Phil probably previewed what they showed us, I would have said, don't show that, or tease something at the end, because fans aren't going to be happy. Like, how out of touch do you have to be as a Xbox executive to not think that way, right? Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, they're very much out of touch to not understand why people would possibly be upset about this or want them to show better or do better. Like, that's my point. I really do just think that, how can you be so out of touch? You know, like, that's the first thing that kind of comes in mind. Yeah, the gaming circle says, holy smokes, dislikes are only 11K now. I don't know what's going on with that, to be honest with you, but it is weird that the dislikes are going around and round and round. And I do hope that they can actually get some stuff up there. Let's see. Biggie says, so what does Sony need to do for their next showcase to not have a bad show like Xbox? That's actually a great question, Biggie. I think Sony has to showcase games that look impressive on the PS5, right? You have to show stuff and a reason to upgrade, okay? So the people that we saw, and by the way, they already confirmed that some of the games that we saw are only going to be 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series X. How is that even possible? I don't even know, right? But yeah, some of them are only 30 frames per second. But Sony has to show, they could do a third-party showcase, but showcase great-looking stuff. You know, if the next Call of Duty is going to look great, showcase it. If the next Battlefield is going to look great, showcase it. Showcase the stuff that really showcase what you're going to have to offer, and that's what they can do. Reyna says, my concern is that Microsoft said that all Xbox Series X games will also be on regular Xbox One unless the game has a ridiculous Halo budget. Most Microsoft games are held back by Xbox One. This is sort of true. You'll hear a lot of debate, but I tend to trust most of the developers who kind of say, they'll bring up PC and how you got to do this, but PCs have minimum spec, and I can guarantee you no PC is running that JAG core that's on that launch Xbox One, which still has to be supported and still has to run all these games. So yeah, it's one of those things that is definitely going to happen. I like a lot of what Microsoft is doing. It isn't all just hate. I do honestly think that Microsoft has been doing some things good, right? They've been a little bit... hold on. So you guys remember this, right? Albert Pinello used to work at Xbox, doesn't work there anymore. This is his quote on Twitter. He says, okay, serious question, no trolling. When you hear official gameplay, what does that mean to you? I've been out of this for a while, so perhaps the definition has drifted. I think of gameplay, quote unquote, as showing a segment of actual game running versus in-engine trailers. Is it just me? So this is a guy who used to work for Xbox, who's given true criticism of Xbox. This is exactly the point I'm trying to make. Look, listen, Microsoft last gen got it all wrong, or this gen. They got it all wrong right from the start. Their messaging was wrong. It was muddied. It was bad. Like, things were not going fantastic, right? They weren't great. And now what we see is almost the same sort of situation. They were doing great, and then they do this. It's like, trust me, people were waiting for like this one failure or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, people were waiting for it. Like, people were, and I'm not one. I wasn't waiting for a failure, so to speak. I was more or less waiting to see them mess up the messaging, or confuse people, or drop the ball. And this was them officially dropping the ball, you guys. And I know some people won't agree with that, and that's fine. And it's not the end of the Series X by any means, okay? But when you look at things like Jeff Keighley, who's like the biggest person in the industry when it comes to like showcasing stuff or whatever, and when you look at him and he's like, what did you guys think of Microsoft's show? And you see the amount of he wanted people to grade the show, right? And when you see that people were kind of picking it to be a D out of A, B, C, D, most people picked it to be a D, and that's really sort of a kind of a thing where you can see how disappointing it is, and unfortunately, Microsoft, like, their first bit of actual gameplay is that, 45% picked D or lower, and that was with 17,000 people. I believe that Jeff Keighley might have that might be updated now. Hold on, I'm going to check the live one. Okay, so here we go. Jeff Keighley says on Twitter, what's your grade for Xbox event today? A, B, C, D, or lower? I picked D or lower. There's almost 50,000 votes now, and 43.8% gave it a D. Almost 28% gave it a C, right? So you can tell, and you got to keep in mind that there's a lot of people that are just going to give Microsoft an A or B for this, that honestly just doing it because it's Microsoft, okay? That should never come into play. If Sony comes out and drops the ball like this, I'm going to be all over them as well. And I think that that's something that, a lot of people are going to have to sort of figure as well. Hold on. JD Gamer says they're playing a game of reveals the price first with Sony because price is the most important thing. So they want to pull a PlayStation on Sony and waiting for their $399 mic drop. There is no way that the Series X is going to be $399, my friend. No way. True Witty says, crap, it's 30 frames per second because the solid state drive isn't the fastest. Could be right. Red Rose now says, do you think the PS5 rumors are making the fans more excited than Microsoft show confirmed stuff for Xbox Series X? If Sony can't showcase better stuff than what Microsoft showed today, they're better off not showing anything until they're ready. JD says, admit that some of those games look good. I thought the best looking game graphically was the first game. But apparently that game was on Steam and made by one person. So I don't even know, I don't know. Like, you know, to me personally, none of those games were like, oh man, I got to get an Xbox Series X for that. Again, I don't want Xbox to go away. I don't want Xbox to not compete. I want them to compete. WWE Awesomeness says, the biggest problem with Xbox Series X is the Xbox is the system with something to prove. So when the underdog disappointed, it hurts Xbox further. This conference was classic Microsoft. You know what, my friend? That might be one of the best comments I've ever seen. Listen to this again, you guys. He says, the biggest problem with Xbox Series X is the Xbox is the system with something to prove. So when the underdog disappointed, it hurts Xbox further. This conference was classic Microsoft. That right there, in and of itself, is Microsoft's biggest problem, right? They hurt themselves with that being the first thing that people associate Series X with. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, mind-blowing or worthwhile in that entire conference. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be upset that I think that or that I say that, but you know, again, there was, I think, Dirt. I think that game Dirt 5 was confirmed 120 frames per second, but it's a racing game, so stuff that you got 60 with right now, yeah, you probably can get maybe 120 with that. I mean, that doesn't matter to me as much. Like I said, I would rather get the 60 on most everything. And maybe most everything will be, but they did actually confirm that some stuff is going to be 30 still. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. And for me to have, you know, quote unquote, you know, keep my expectations in check, man, I wanna be happy. I don't want to keep my expectations in check all the damn time, right? Why should I have to do that? Why should I have to keep my expectations in check all the damn time? It makes no sense. I don't want to live my life like that as a gamer. I want to be able to get excited and to go, you know what? They could really surprise me. You know, why should I always have to go, man, there's not going to be a surprise here whatsoever? Like, I feel like that is something that is truly disappointing as a fan. If you're an Xbox fan, you should have the right to be a little bit disappointed and to think, hey, you know what? Hey, why should we have to be accepting of this? Why should we have to just go, it's your own fault for getting excited because we shouldn't have had an excitement to begin with? Why is Xbox the only brand that you can't get excited about when they do a reveal? Listen, when PlayStation does something, at least you could say, hey, you know, it's something to get excited about, right? Let's get excited by it. You know, when Nintendo does an event, people get excited by that. Have you seen the reactions to stuff like Banjo-Kazooie in a freaking DLC? They jump up and down. Have you seen Sony stuff, man? When they originally announced like The Last of Us 2 or you know, Ghost of Tsushima, this new trailer, people get excited by this stuff. Okay, the fact that we have to unexcite ourselves before an Xbox event, that tells you everything you need to know about Xbox. It does, and that's the real part that kind of pisses me off. It's like, that's, you know, why do we got to be so freaking unpissed off, man? Rodrigo says your channel is awesome. Keep it up. Listen, obviously, you can't go from building up a 100% pro Xbox or 99% pro Xbox channel and then start telling the truth about Xbox when they start dropping the ball and expect it not to take a hit. I did. You know, it's like starting over. You know, I'm going to keep doing it while it's fun. I don't do a ton of live shows anymore, but this was something that I felt like I needed to do a reaction to. Julia says, still a hater, I see, but PlayStation has... Well, how does this have anything to do with PlayStation? I'm just curious. Now, listen, Julius, if Microsoft come out and says, or if Sony comes out and says they're going to reveal the first PS5 gameplay and refuse to show actual gameplay, I'll be just as pissed off. I'll be just as mad. Okay? Y9 Power says, the real reason Xbox fails is too much politics in the Microsoft workplace. Example, Terry Myerson. Well, Terry Myerson was always just a scapegoat and something that people used as an excuse. We never had any kind of confirmation that there was really any kind of accord or anything like that with what they're doing. Hey, if you guys could get me up over 200 likes, I would appreciate it. Unlike Microsoft, I have no ability to remove dislikes, so I'm counting on you guys to, you know, send out the likes and stuff like that, and to kind of keep things going. I definitely appreciate it and think the world of you guys, man, the ones that still support me and stuff like that. You know, listen, I hope that Microsoft rebounds from that. I honestly do. I think that they can. I think that they can do a better job. You know, hopefully the other stuff that they show off, they actually have some third parties partnerships that are worth something. So far, the stuff that I've seen, like Assassin's Creed, looked good, but it looks like Assassin's Creed. It doesn't look and we haven't really seen any footage yet, but it doesn't look any better than, you know, what we've seen pretty much so far from the other Assassin's Creed games, which also look good. Let's see. I'm trying to look at some more questions. Hold on. Impatient Fire says Xbox goes almost 7 years with dry output and still finds a way to disappoint. First reveal, no first-party games, no gameplay, and tempered expectations. Exactly. Red Nose says if they show the PS5 console but there was no gameplay, the PlayStation fans will still be excited. No, they won't. Dude, as somebody who, there might be some, but I can promise you there was not going to be this whole level of people damage controlling constantly for PlayStation. Look, do you see anybody saying how great Predator is on PlayStation 4? Right? Like, nobody's talking about that game because it's crappy. Okay? Yet you had Xbox fans build up Bleeding Edge till no other. Build up State of Decay like no other. Build up they'll still say Crackdown 3 is great. You literally have people still say Crackdown 3 is great, one of the most underrated games ever. Okay? You know, that's sort of how I kind of go about things and think about things. JD game, and listen, I do appreciate the ones that keep it real and understand what I'm trying to say. It's not about blind hate for Xbox. I want to get a Series X as well at launch. They got to give me reasons. JD Gamer says, I'm excited as an Xbox fan and Everwild looks amazing. Thoughts of Breath of the Wild. Hellblade 2 looks amazing. I dare you to say otherwise. Outer Worlds 2 will be amazing. Fable is rumored to fantastic. Now, this will sound like I'm hating, and I'm sorry if it does sound like that. I'm trying not to. 1 second, and I'm going to respond to every point you made. Okay. Everwild, they filed a Games as a Service patent for that. That is going to be a Games as a Service game with no single player. Okay? It's hard to get excited for that. It's going to be a Sea of Thieves, but on land or something like that. It's not going to be what you think it is. Maybe it'll turn out good. Maybe it won't. They're in pre-production, so we won't know for years to come. So I wouldn't call it Breath of the Wild or compare it to that. Breath of the Wild is like this amazing story, and it's just one of the most fantastic games I've ever played. And to compare, like might be able to compare it graphically, but again, I'm not going to compare it to now. You think Hellblade 2 looks amazing. I'm sure. Listen. Hellblade 1 looked amazing, but the problem was that it was just like this linear indie AA game with AAA production values, and what lost it for me, and it might not lose it for everybody. If you like it, perfectly fine, but I know a lot of people thought the way I did was that this game had puzzles where you have to look, and you have, you know, and like the first time I'm like playing it, I'm like, this game's okay, and then it's like you have to look and find this design out somewhere, so you're just staring. And like literally, I'm like wasted an hour on one of these early puzzles, and I was like, I'm not gonna play this. You know, this isn't for me. You know, now if it was just the combat or whatever, it might be a little bit different story. But you know, they're not gonna take out the looking puzzles. Outer Worlds, listen, I didn't bother downloading Outer Worlds. My brother did. He said he played it, and he ran into the same problem he does in every Fallout game, which is you get like 4 hours into the game, and you know, something jumps out that kills you, and you gotta, you know, it's basically Fallout in space. I hate Fallout games. It's not nothing against them personally. I don't like Fallout. Fable, I'm hoping that this game looks great. You know, that could be the one saving grace. So I will give you that. I do hope that they do a good job with that, and I think that Fable will probably be a pretty good game. And I do hope that that's something that, you know, that they actually come out with and showcase what the Xbox Series X can do. I do hope that that's something that they do. JD says, stop it. PlayStation fans act like the first 3 years of this gen didn't happen. I don't know if you've met me. I'm a PlayStation fan, but I harassed PlayStation like no other about their crappy games the first few years. It wasn't, you know, they started off slow, but boy, have they come on. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima and stuff looks absolutely stunning. And to end the generation with multiple new AAA IP, absolutely fantastic. So I do know that, like I said, you're not going to see a bunch of Xbox fanboys. You know, you're, like where you'll see a bunch of Xbox fanboys sort of damage control what happened today. You're not going to find a bunch of PlayStation fanboys that are going to damage control like Predator or something like that, because that game, just let's just be real, is not a huge game. It's not a great game. It's not something that people, you know, gotta play. Oh, I gotta play it. You know, it's just, it's not that type of game. And for people to sort of think otherwise is kind of ignorant, I think. But you know, again, it'll be interesting to see where Microsoft goes from here. Sonic says Xbox is like a sports team that does not care to go for the win, just money by participation. Jordan on the Wizard was a losing team, but he still tried. That's actually a good like. Chris says they deleted another 1,000 dislikes. I can't believe this. I don't know what's up. Maybe it's a YouTube problem. Maybe YouTube thinks it's spam or something. Fluffy Monkey says Predator is decent. Look, I played the beta or whatever, but I knew from that I wasn't going to buy that game. And I have never seen an Xbox or a PlayStation fan, go, oh man, what a good game. Whereas when you saw, Godfall is not my type of game, but it does look pretty good, graphically. So we'll have to see, we'll have to see where that ends up. But it's definitely not a game that I'm going to buy. I'm more interested in seeing like some of the other stuff that they have to showcase. Like that's the main stuff that I want to see and the important stuff. So until they can get that kind of down, I don't really know what to say about it. Like I'm not going to damage control for stuff that I haven't seen because Sony has decided not to show anything yet. Now, if they show stuff and it's crappy, like what Microsoft showed today, I'll be sure to jump on and say, hey, this is really crappy. Why are they doing this? But until I see that, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to sort of comment on that because I haven't seen it. Like, I don't know. But I do hope that when they decide to, quote-unquote, show the first gameplay, that they actually decide to show actually something worthwhile for the PlayStation 5 that showcases it. What's my thoughts on The Last of Us 1? I thought it was a good game. When I first tried to play through it, I got it on PS3. But then the new consoles came out, and I kind of rushed through it, and, I didn't even finish it, and I was just like, eh. And then I played the remaster on PS4, and I was able to do things like I wasn't doing any of the crafting on the PS3 version. Once I was able to craft and sort of learn the nuances of the game, I liked it. I thought it had a pretty good story. Some of the gameplay was a little bit flawed, but, clearly, a good game, probably a top 10 game. JD Gamer says they showed Godfall. I mean, that's not Sony, though. I mean, is that PC footage or what? Like that, when Sony goes, we're officially showing our first PS5 game, and they do a showcase, I hope that they show the games running on PS5. Like, that's really the only thing that I can say about it. Alan Walker says you're not going to hear a PlayStation fan say wait till next year. Yeah, because, honestly, PlayStation didn't really have that kind of failing. Like this generation was sort of weird where Xbox kind of packed it in and, people are like, wait till next E3 or wait till, XO or something like that. And that was really kind of unfortunate because at the end of the day, I feel like Microsoft, they had everybody's attention today, right? Like, let's just be real, okay? Microsoft 100% had everybody's attention today. And the fact of the matter is that they failed to capitalize on that, and you can't even damage control that. They really just failed to capitalize on what people expect. Like, well, I guess they expected not much, which is a shame. But again, they had all eyes on them. A free day where they could have controlled the narrative and been like, "Hey, look what we have. It's fantastic. We have this, we have that." And the fact of the matter is, they failed to really showcase anything that makes anybody go, "I got to get a Series X right now." Okay. Like that's sort of the part that I'm talking about. Like I want Microsoft to showcase stuff that's never been done before. That show us the ray tracings and show us the show us why we should get your console. Like to me, I don't understand why we can't get that. As far as I can tell, Microsoft knows what people want because they keep saying we heard you. And so far, I keep seeing this stuff, and and it looks like they haven't heard us. Excuse me. Man, talking for, when I'm not used to this stuff for a while, takes a little bit of a toll. But, yeah, so that's sort of how I stand. And, hey, you guys, get me up to 200 likes. I would appreciate it. JD says the game was introduced as a first peek at PS5 game. I get that, but does that have anything to, what I mean? Like, Sony's not advertising that as, hey, here's our first look at this or that. I feel like Microsoft were quite clear that, that this is what our first image of Xbox Series X is a bunch of AA indies and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. What grinds my gears says new slogan should be power your daydreams. Yeah, I don't really get what Microsoft was going for here. you know, I really do hope that they can snap out of this, man. If they do hear us, man, and I messaged Phil Spencer, and I wasn't even trolling. I was just like, Phil, if you claim you're hearing people, and I linked him to Jeff Keighley's Twitter where he was asking, doing the poll on what grade do you give Xbox, and over 50,000 people voted, and 44% say D or lower. Then pay attention. This isn't what fans want, man. They want to see something fantastic. They want to see why they should get this new console and exactly what it's going to be offering that's going to be so different from everything else. And I feel like that's something that they actually have to sort of go out and prove. So they have the most to prove, and they really kind of failed to do it. So that's really, really sort of disappointing. Y9 Power says, my problem is no Mech Assault, no Blue Dragon, no Midtown Madness, no figuring out how to get Project Gotham Racing back. I would not count on any of that stuff ever coming back, guys. Microsoft, listen, you guys, listen. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's just be real. You know what we're getting. I know what we're getting. There's very few things to be surprised about. Okay, expect more Forza, both Horizon and Motorsport. Expect more Halo, more Gears of War. Expect more State of Decay. Expect more like AA stuff. They're really trying to get Game Pass a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? And they need it to be pumped out pretty fast. So you're talking 2 to 3 year turnarounds. That's not really enough time for like a big AAA game. So you're going to get like these AA games, stuff like Hellblade that looks good, but it's still going to be like a 10 to 15 hour game that's really a AA with better production values, And if you're okay with that, I think that's fine. I just feel like, for me personally, Microsoft could do better, and they should do better. I think they're going after more of a casual audience, like casuals play on the phone, and the fact that they keep going after that is one of those things that is a little bit disheartening. I really do hope that that's something that that they can kind of fix in the future or whatever. You know what I mean? That's just my personal. You know what? I don't really have a take. I didn't see any of the stuff about Last of Us, so it's just one of those things. Hold on. Jason says, you flip more time than people on the TV show Survivor. PS5 not shown anything but a controller, and for Xbox they shown was only third-party games. I don't take you seriously, but you are entertaining. Listen, this doesn't have anything to do with PlayStation 5. If they go out and show stuff on PlayStation 5 and it's this bad, I'll say it's this bad. I don't, they haven't decided to show something. Now, if they go, we're going to show PS5 footage, and they've refused to show PS5 footage, I'll be pissed off. Microsoft, we can't say it's only third party. You don't think Phil Spencer viewed all this stuff? You don't think anybody at the top viewed this stuff and okayed it and didn't realize that it was going to be lackluster or people were going to be disappointed? How can you be that out of touch? That's my point. That's my point. How can you be that out of touch to think that people were going to be happy with what they saw today? Why not? Now, I'm not a millionaire, or I'm not a head of Xbox, but why not put what we saw today and sandwich that crap in between the first-party stuff and some of the bigger third-party stuff, so you have a mega blowout of everything in between. Double A's, triple A's, third parties, first parties. Why not do it that way? So even if you were disappointed with some of the stuff, at least there would have been bigger stuff to be actually excited about. As it is, I was at least hoping to walk away going, damn, that Series X is going to be where I'm going to play my third-party games. Instead of thinking that, you know what I said? Damn, next gen looks a lot like this gen, but earlier in this gen, like 2013, because none of those games look next gen to me. Did they look next gen to you? If you actually thought that those games look next generation, please let me know in the chat, because I want to help pay for your eyeglass appointment, because you clearly need glasses. There was nothing next gen about anything that look appealing or look next gen. Chris says, "Kid Smooth spoiling The Last of Us 2 on Twitter because he saw." Listen, I have him blocked, so listen, I'm not really care what people that just blindly hype Xbox. That has nothing to do with me. I kind of stick to my own lane. I don't really care about what these other people are doing or what. Noob Tube says, I was hoping for a new Dead Rising third-party exclusive. Yeah, I doubt Microsoft does that. Plus, I don't think that team that's doing that, what is that, Capcom Vancouver, they don't exist anymore. So, yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. But I like State of Decay 3. I thought it was fantastic. JD Gamer says, State of Decay has tripled its budget and will be much bigger and better game next time. Fallout games sell a lot, so you're in the minority on that, as Outer Worlds will be great. Well, listen, I got a feeling that if Outer Worlds sold good, which we don't know, I mean, supposedly it sold 2 million. That's not great in my opinion. But if it sold good and they do a sequel, I have a feeling that they're going to come up with some kind of excuse saying, hey, Outer Worlds 2, sorry, we signed a deal, and that's going to be on PS4, PS5 as well, or whatever. You know, that's just how I feel. Like, I don't like Fallout games. And, you know, that's not my bag. You know, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people go, well, what is your bag? You know, I like action, adventure, sports. I like lots of stuff, but, you know, I don't like, how can I put this? I don't like first-person RPGs for the most part, right? Like, I didn't like any of the Elder Scrolls games until Skyrim, because that's when they fixed the third-person view to where it actually worked, and I enjoyed it. To be honest with you, like, Cyberpunk looks interesting, but the fact that it's in first person means that I might not even get the game. I know that some people probably won't like to hear that, but that's as truthful as I can be about it. Hola Malco says, PlayStation may lose a couple of matches or battles, but 4 out of 5 we won once. At the end of the day, PlayStation wins the tournament war. Not only that, but if you think about it, the PS3 came out at a time when people really were hating on PlayStation, right? Like, they really dropped the ball, told you to get a second job. A lot of the stuff that Microsoft is notorious for doing, right? Get a second job, do this, do that. And then when you sort of look at what's going on with what happened later on with the PS3, they lowered the price, came out with some smaller SKUs, right? And they came out with so many exclusives that you had to have one, right? Like, everybody had to have a PlayStation 3 because they had so many great exclusives. It's like they put out so many games that you had nothing better to do. You honestly, you had to have one just to play those games. And I think that that's something that people kind of forget. I thought Microsoft would do that this gen. If Sony can do that with kind of the lack of money that they have as a company, if they can do that, then why couldn't Microsoft do that? That's the way I looked at it. Like, I thought Microsoft for sure would just start buying up exclusives and put out exclusive after exclusive, and they ended up not really doing that, and that's really sort of disappointing for me that Microsoft wasn't able to do that, and I do hope that that's something that they can do in the future. I hope that they do. Let's see. Gibbs Take says, you're absolutely right. It was lackluster. Unblock me on Twitter. You blocked me back when you were on the dark side. Gibbs real. I'll see what I can do, my friend. Yeah, so for me personally, like, that's sort of how I sort of looked at it, was that, you know, I do hope that Microsoft can fix the thing. And again, they can make it right by showcasing stuff like Badassly, right? Like, just go, oh man, this stuff's amazing, blah blah blah. You know, and okay, so I did unblock you now. Ghost of Gib. Yeah, got you. You're unblocked. Yeah, so they can totally rebound from this, and they most likely will. But it's like they have to be realizing that you can say, hey, we're going to have a show every month until this thing launches. And that sounds good on paper. Like the Browns sound good on paper. And then they go and be 6-10. Okay? So you can say that you're going to do a show every month, but if they're just crappy inside Xbox shows, save it. Don't do it. People would rather not watch that. You know, people would rather you not do anything at all than to do that kind of stuff. So I really do hope that Microsoft heeds that call and sort of goes out and, you know, and does something that's passable as being great, as being what people want. You know, that's the goal, you know. And I hope that they do that. Hey, I'm 10 likes away from getting 200 likes. I don't think I've gotten 200 likes in forever. But, yeah, I do appreciate it if you guys would do that. Major Elson says, we had such a great show today. Games. Xbox for the losers. For the losers. I don't know. Like, listen, if you like Xbox, you're fine. I'm never going to tell you not to get an Xbox. Low-end average gamer says, just wish Microsoft would come out and show a bit more pride in what they are presenting. I want heavy competition for next gen. That's my point too. Hey, that's my point too. I really want Microsoft to showcase. Listen, when you get that first glimpse of next gen, right? Okay, so just to be clear, when Sony showed off the PS4 for the first time, right? And we saw Infamous, and we saw Drive Club. I'm not saying Drive Club was a good game, but it looked great. And we saw Drive Club, right? And I think maybe Assassin's Creed or something. We saw some great looking games. When we saw Xbox One, Killer Instinct looked great. Rise, Son of Rome looked great. Dead Rising 3 looked great. You know, Titanfall looked great. Like, those are your first opinions of the graphics and how next gen is going to look. And now for our first view of next gen Xbox, we get double A's and stuff that's going to be in Game Pass day one. Come on, man. That's just not a good look. That's just not a good look. Donofo Man says, crap, stop. No matter what Microsoft does, you'll be hating. When Sony shows the same stuff next month, you'll be here talking. No. Dude, here's the thing. I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Because a lot of people will say I flip-flop, right? If I start saying, hey, I really like what Microsoft does, and I'm excited by it, people will just go, you're flip-flopping. It's not true. I've been on Microsoft about the games, the big AAA games, their exclusives in particular. That's what they need to show. If they blow me away, more power to them. I'll get an Xbox Series X and talk good about it if they can show me why I need to get one, right? I don't trust their first party. JD Gamer says, let me make this clear. Anybody believing that PS5 will have a broader reach than Xbox platform 7 years from now has never watched an old giant die. New tech always wins against old tech a la X. Dude, I hate to break it to you, but if you're putting your money on xCloud, let me point you to my friend Google Stadia. Okay, Google Stadia is absolutely free right now. Even some of the games are free. And we're in the middle of this crisis where everybody's in home lockdown, staying home, staying safe. And what are people doing? Are they utilizing Google Stadia? Are they utilizing PlayStation Now to stream games? Are they utilizing Nvidia Shield? Are they utilizing xCloud? No, and no. What are gamers doing? They're going out and they're buying up the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One. And they're buying them in record numbers. So, to me, that's a clear indication that people want hardware, okay? All that stuff that Microsoft says about 2 billion gamers is nonsense, and I can tell you why it's nonsense. Microsoft does this every generation where they come out with some fantastical number, and they never hit it. Go back and look at the Xbox 360. They claimed they were going to reach, and I quote, 1 billion gamers with the Xbox 360. They never did. It never happened. They wanted to, quote, and sell 200 million Xbox Ones this generation, and it never happened. They sold 41 million. They wanted us to reach 2 billion gamers next gen, but the problem is they don't have the content, first of all, and for the type of phones that you need and the tablet, like that stuff, costs more than the hardware it does in to begin with. Not to mention the latency issues and all the other problems. WWE Awesomeness says Goldberg may not be the best wrestler, but he keeps his matches short. Would Xbox SX conferences be less terrible if they were just 4 minutes long, like a Goldberg match? Like, you know what would have happened for me personally? What I would have liked was showcase maybe the top 5 games that they had, but showcase them actually running on an Xbox Series X. Assassin's Creed running a demo on Xbox Series X. Like, what is so wrong with that? I do not understand why they couldn't do that. Why do they fail every single time with that? I do not get it. I don't understand why they aren't, like, locking these things down. Why aren't they giving people what they want to see? Like, E3 used to be fun. You'd see Cliffy B go up there and play Gears on stage, or you see the guy from Activision go up there and play the next Call of Duty. Like, that was fun. Now we get these in-game, in-engine trailers, and you never know what you're going to get. You know, all I do know is what we saw today from Xbox Series X wasn't even on an Xbox Series X, and none of it looked appealing. None of it looked great. None of it did, and that's really, really unfortunate. And, you know, I know people are going to think that I'm just a hater or whatever, but to me, the real haters are the ones that damage control this stuff and sort of, you know, just love everything that Xbox does and claims Xbox is great. And, you know, like, that to me is the real hater, because they're not doing themselves, they're not doing you, they're not doing anybody that's a fan any favors. And that's the most unfortunate thing, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, you know, I think everybody expected better. Everybody wanted better. Everybody thought that Microsoft should have went out there and at least had a showpiece, right? There was no showpiece that they had. And that, to me, is the most unfortunate thing. Is I really wanted to see something that sort of showcased what Microsoft can do. And, unfortunately, we didn't get that. I'm hoping that we can get that next time. Major Elson says, crap, stop being a hater. Hey, what can I say, man? I'm born to hate. Actually, I'm not. I'm actually want to love Xbox again, man. Honestly, if you really want to know and I talked to Dirt Griggity about this and probably a couple other people, I want to love Xbox again, man. I want to just be, even if I got to leave YouTube because everybody thinks I'm just a quote-unquote flip-flopper, even if that's the case, then at least I can enjoy the consoles and enjoy the great games. But it's like Xbox just continually lets me down, and that's unfortunate. Maybe I'll do like when I started this, I never wanted to be like a console fanboy kind of side of things, man. I just wanted to talk about the things that I liked, and to me, Xbox One had great games to launch with, and Sony didn't. And then I got into that a little bit, and then that became kind of fun to do or whatever. But I would much rather, like the kind of shows that I watch on YouTube, gaming related, realistically are kind of fun or just informative. I like Metal Jesus. That guy does a good show. I like Angry Video Game Nerd. Like that stuff's funny to me. But they also do, he doesn't just do like the angry stuff. He also just does Let's Plays and talks about games and movies. I wanted to do stuff like that, And I would love to be able to do stuff like that next generation and get away from the whole, this and that and the other thing, console war and stuff. Because to be honest with you, the Series X and the PS5 are both going to do pretty much the same damn thing, 4K 60 on most things, ray tracing, etc., etc. It's going to come down to the exclusive content. Not only that, but how can you pimp out 12 T-flops and act like 12 T-flops and T-flops are all that matter when it looks like Microsoft is going to now, and then hate on the PlayStation 5, mind you, for being only 10.3 T-flops, but then think that T-flops are all that matters when Microsoft is likely coming out with something that's only 4 T-flops, right? Like, there's no way around that. You can't sit there and praise T-flops and then dog Sony for having less and then not notice that Microsoft is going to have the base console with the least amount of power next generation. Like, I mean, there's no way around that looking bad for people. And I'm sorry if you don't agree or whatever, but that's just how I feel about it. And I don't think that Microsoft is going to have a broader reach next gen. I don't think that xCloud is going to take off. I don't think that people want to stream their games. I think that, Sony has over 100 and some monthly active users, and that's with PlayStation 4 alone. Microsoft basically tries to count anybody and everything that logs in. Even if you play on a PlayStation and you log in Minecraft, they count that as Xbox Live. If you play on Switch and you log into Minecraft, they count that as an Xbox Live thing. Mobile is Xbox Live. It's like, they count everything, and they don't seem to. They technically, quote unquote, get all these millions more players, and they haven't earned any more money from that, which leads me to believe that there's a couple of things that could have happened. People are using that 1 month or 3 month trial for $1 of Game Pass, and then when that runs out, they're creating a new account and doing that same thing, because once you have Game Pass on your console, no matter which name it's under, you can still utilize it, right? So people are just making more free accounts and then getting that deal with Game Pass. And, when it runs out, they create another account. And I've seen people that do this. And that's kind of like what people are doing. Yeah, cloud stuff is like, listen, that's not going to be the future. Trust me. People want it to, like Microsoft and these companies want it to be the future, but it's not going to be the future. And I can tell you why. I don't see a day where PC gamers and hardcore console gamers are accepting of, 1, not owning their games, 2, not being able to trade their games or borrow games or trade in used games or share their games, and 3, not being able to mod their games or play offline. Like, can you imagine that? I can't believe it. Not only that, but look at the hardware we're getting now. Microsoft and Sony are both saying they're creating consoles that have the least amount of latency that consoles have ever had. Latency between when you move on your controller and the reaction on the screen. Now imagine the latency, no matter how quick your internet is, it's like you're playing a game. If you're 300 miles away from a server, it's like having a controller with a 300-mile tether to that server. The reactions are going to be delayed no matter how fast your internet is. There's no way that they're ever going to make that as good as local hardware. And so it can never be quote-unquote Netflix, because you're not interacting with Netflix. You're watching it, Gaming is totally different. I understand why they want to do it, because they want to take everybody's rights. But at the same time, for me personally, you know, it's never going to be something that I'm going to use or never going to be something that I want to utilize as a gamer. And I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel about it. If you guys disagree, hey, that's more than fine. You know, nobody's ever going to agree about everything. Lisa G says, I linked this live stream to Xbox customer support. They said to tell you to wait till E3 2021 because that will be the biggest Xbox E3 ever. Listen, Phil Spencer is more excited about the things they didn't show. So, yeah, I can hardly wait to see the things that they do show, right? It's going to be interesting to see that. If you guys got any more questions, please ask them in the chat below. I would love to sort of, you know, work on mine. Hey, I have almost 160,000 gamer score now, Major Elson. You know, I do pretty well on there. You know, I'm starting to make a little way with the trophies, but man, trophies are a little bit hard to come by because I get trophies and then they sort of, you know, like in a game you might get 15, 20 trophies, but whereas in a game on Xbox I might get 500, 600, 700 gamer score. So, you know, it's a little bit more difficult for me in that aspect, but yeah, you know, I have a good time with it. So, yeah, man, like I hope that Microsoft really comes back next time and does a better job. JD says people don't use pages. BlackBerry's a joke. Landlines are ridiculous, and you and everyone listening to this has downloaded games, so it's not about today. It's about what's going to happen 5 years down the line. Listen, I've been downloading games for years, but downloading games, okay, is a lot different than, you know, having to stream a game, right? I've tried the streaming. Trust JD. I'm in xCloud, right? I tried it. It's like a flip book for me. I get it that I don't have the best internet, but I have 30 down, right? I should be able to play their games, and I can't. It's like a flip book, okay? Yeah, that's never going to be for me, especially if you like to play stuff online, man. I play like Warzone and stuff online. The reactions and stuff have to be instant. You can't have all that lag and stuff and pixelation and stuff like that when you're playing games, and that's just never going to be a thing. Like in my house, if, you know, the kids are watching Netflix and I'm watching Netflix, then I get a pixelated screen. It just kind of is what it is, you know what I mean? And I'm telling you, don't bank on, you know, that being the situation where Microsoft is going to, you know, make all this money and make all this, you know, by doing what they're doing. I don't think it's going to work as well as you think it is. I don't think they're going to do terrible by any means. I just think that, you know, it's not going to be as big as what you're saying, you know. And I don't think, like, them having, you know, these other options on, you know, for streaming, like PC, right? When I can remember years ago when they go, hey, we're going to PC, we're going to do Play Anywhere, blah, blah, blah. You know what people told me when I freaked out about it? This is going to mean more exclusives for us and their games are going to sell better. Well, when we look at the sales numbers on PC, we see that they aren't selling better. Like the games that are, and the reason is because the quality of game isn't good enough for those games to sell better. You can put Crackdown 3 on PlayStation and 100 other consoles, and it's not going to sell better because it's a bad game, right? Like their games aren't selling better because they're on PC. Like people might play them for a day and then they're done with them, you know? Like, that's just how it is. You know, I think Halo 2 will probably have a chance of doing well on PC. But other than that, I don't think that there's going to be this huge amount of, like, thing that people are going to be sort of, oh, man, I can't wait to play that. I don't think it's going to work like that. So, Mando says Stadia is better than xCloud. They have better infrastructure. I don't really know. You know, like, that stuff's not really my bag. I never want that stuff to take off, but that's just me. JD says tech always wins, and you've already given up your rights to games, and you can't trade this stuff in. But, dude, I'm not, you know, 5G is what doesn't mean anything to me. You know, I'm not playing my games that way. That's just, listen, I don't know anybody, like, that's an adult in a real world living day-to-day. Where are they taking these excursions where they're away from a PC or console, where they're going to have this free time to just sit in a field playing a game on your phone with extra battery packs and lugging a controller around? Like, I don't see that as being a thing. I'm sorry. I just do not see that as being a thing. Mr. Eater says, didn't watch Inside Xbox yet. Is Microsoft still hiding games? Listen, they announced this show as the first gameplay reveal for Xbox Series X. They showed no gameplay footage from Xbox Series X. That's basically the thing that I can kind of, you know, that's kind of the only thing that I can say about that. So, as let's see, what did we do for, like, hey, we did over 200 likes. Please hit the like button, share it out, subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate everybody that stopped by. I don't know when the next Sony event's going to happen, but I'm hoping they show much better stuff than what we saw today from Microsoft, man. I really do appreciate what you guys have done. rack them up and all that kind of good stuff, man. You guys have been absolutely incredible. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay inside. Peace out.